Introducing a brand new paleo-friendly, low-carb-friendly granola product. It's called No Granola. Visit primalpaleoconcepts.com and you can learn all about this 100% real food, 0% yucky stuff product. It is the only granola on the market that is naturally low in carbohydrates, no sugar added, and paleo-friendly. Welcome the crunch back into your day and rock your taste buds. It's fabulous with your favorite yogurt, milk, or even ice cream, or simply use the best tool of all, your fingers. Coconut provides a powerful energy boost from the MCTs. There's no added sweeteners, all natural, paleo-friendly, gluten-free, and low carb. It's made with organic coconuts, almonds, prunes, carrots, and Himalayan sea salt. That only gives you 7 grams of carbohydrate. 3 of them are from fiber, so 4 net carbs per serving. Again, check it out. It's at primalpaleoconcepts.com, the No Granola. Coming up in episode 723, Mikki Reilly.
It's the Livin La Vida Low-Carb Show with Jimmy Moore. And now, here's Jimmy.
Welcome back to the Livin La Vida Low-Carb Show with Jimmy Moore. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome to the podcast a lady I got to meet in person at the recent Ancestral Health Symposium in Atlanta, Georgia. Her name is Mikki Reilly. She's a certified fitness trainer and former competitive bodybuilder. She has served on the Balanced Health Science Advisory Board, is a member of, MetRx's World's Best Trainer Best Personal Trainer Advisory Staff. She lives in Santa Barbara, California. She's got a fantastic website, fitnesstransform.com, and she's here today to talk about her brand new book, Your Primal Body, The Paleo Way to Living Lean, Fit, and Healthy at Any Age. Mikki Reilly, welcome to the Livin La Vida Low Carb Show.
Thank you. Hi, Jimmy.
Oh, it's so good to have you here today, and it was really kind of cool hanging out. We got to hang out at the little party they had on the last day at the Ancestral Health Symposium, and it's kind of neat meeting all these different people in the paleo community that are doing some really great work. And for those people who may not have heard about you before, Mikki, can you tell us how you got interested in this subject of fitness and health?
Actually, I've been in the subject of fitness and health for 20 years. I've been a personal trainer long before I got involved with paleo. Yeah. I started as a bodybuilder back in 1992. I did a competition and discovered that I really enjoyed the process of transforming my body, and I wanted to share that and help other people to transform theirs as well. And I had always had an interest in nutrition. Over the years, I tried all types of diets, just in my own personal exploration of health and fitness. I tried, macrobiotics and vegetarianism and the low-fat diet, and I did the Zone by Barry Sears and low-carb by Atkins. I went through, and I actually experienced them all for a period of time. And then when I was working on my degree at UCSB, I discovered the paleo diet, and it was the best I'd ever felt on any nutritional approach that I'd ever tried ever. So I was pretty excited about it. And then after completing my degree, I discovered the work of Art Devaney, and so while I had studied Cordain while I was in school and learned some of his. Some of the research that he had done, he had stressed mostly diet in his research, and he only touched briefly on the exercise and the movement aspects. But Devaney actually synthesized a holistic approach to health and fitness that included both diet and exercise, which really appealed to me.
Right.
And so before I discovered Devaney's work, I'd already been, learning different ways of exercising than actually when I first started as a bodybuilder, just from studying the science for what was the best approach to exercise and movement. And I had moved to an approach of high-intensity interval training and functional strength training just based on research, but what happened was that Devaney's theory really gave me a context for what I was doing and confirmed that I was on the right track, which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, Art Devaney's one of our favorite podcast interview guests here. Both he and Lauren Cordain have been on several times, and they're doing really good work. I mean, both of them, and especially Art Devaney. I mean, dude is a stud. I remember when
no doubt. That's no doubt.
He talked about, pulling a Land Rover out of a ditch to
at 73 or something. Right?
Oh, that's just amazing.
Yeah, he actually wrote the foreword to my book, and
yes.
He was very generous. I sent him the copy of the book before I even had a publisher, and he said, "Oh yeah, this is great. This is a user's manual. Shows people how to do it. I'll be happy to write the foreword."
That's cool, and that's good prestige. That would be like Mark Sisson or Rob Wolf writing the foreword to a book nowadays. It's
exactly
pretty amazing. So awesome. Well, let's get into the book itself, since now we know a little more about who you are. The book, it's called Your Primal Body: The Paleo Way to Living Lean, Fit, and Healthy at Any Age. What sets your book apart from all those other morass of books that are out there on the market today that label themselves as a paleo or primal style book?
Well, the really big difference between my book and most of the books that are out there today is that really most of the books focus on the paleo diet, and that's good because a lot of people really need to change the way they eat. But my book is more of a holistic approach, like Art Devaney spoke about. And I talk a lot about exercise in addition to the paleo diet. And, a lot of people really focus on the diet as a way to lose weight and regain health, which makes a lot of sense because the low-carb diet can keep you sensitive to insulin and help you avoid storing fat and all of that. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of people don't know is that body composition affects insulin sensitivity too. So Lauren Cordain actually studied that, and he noticed in one of his studies that pre-agricultural adults and modern Olympic or elite athletes had basically similar body compositions. And so males had about 10% body fat, and women had about 15%. But if you look at the average modern male, basically they have greater than 25% body fat, and females have greater than 35% body fat. And that's significant because insulin receptors on muscle cells are much more efficient at glucose uptake than on fat cells. So fitness level is really a big predictor in glucose uptake. So it may sound a little bit technical, but a fit person who's lean with more muscle may induce 7 to 10 times more glucose uptake than an out-of-shape, overly fat person. And so what would happen would be that they would secrete less insulin and thus store less fat. So, and there would also be less circulating insulin in the blood, so they would be less likely to develop insulin resistance. So you hear, even, from the low-carb camp that exercise, doesn't really bring about that much weight loss, but you would really have to ask, what type of exercise, are you talking about? Is it low-intensity aerobic exercise? Because that may be so, but if you perform strength training and gradually improve your body composition, your percentage of lean body mass to fat, then you would definitely impact your ability to lose weight or to burn fat, right? And so having more muscle in your body would also improve your insulin sensitivity. So it's why exercise is so important in the obesity epidemic. It's not just about diet. So that's really what distinguishes my book.
And I'm glad you brought that out in your book, because that is something that needs to be heralded from the mountaintop. And another key one, and I love that you're focusing so much on keeping insulin under control. That's obviously a huge message that I try to convey as well, because quite frankly, that's the way our ancestors ate, and it's what made them right in the choices that they made in their diet, and why we should probably try to mimic, at least from a nutritional standpoint, what they did.
Exactly, and exercise as well.
Right, exactly.
So what also makes my book a little different is, I tried to really write a user's manual or a guide for people that don't know anything about paleo. So It's not for the CrossFit crowd or the people in, Santa Barbara that already know about, kettlebell training and are already onto the paleo diet, but really I wanted to write a comprehensive approach for someone that doesn't know anything about this.
Right.
So that's why it's a 5-step program. And since I wrote this book and I got published and I got a lot of publicity in Santa Barbara, people come into my studio and they're ready to do this. I mean, before that I got published and before paleo became, the latest thing, I've been using these methods for many years. I've been, doing paleo myself for 10, 12 years, and I've been encouraging my clients to do the same long before they knew, that it was going to be such a popular trend. And it was much more difficult to get people to do this, but now people come through the door and they're ready to do it. And it's amazing how quickly people change when they do both the exercise and the nutrition together.
That's got to be nice being a trainer and having people come in and say, so I'll do whatever you tell me.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. I love it.
That's cool. Well, let's zero in on the 5-step Primal Body program, because I think each of these elements is a big key in improving people's health. And definitely we won't give the whole book away, but I think we'll touch on these major ones because I think this will whet people's appetite to get this book. Step 1, you call Eat the Anti-Inflammation Primal Diet. And I love the fact that you put the focus on inflammation. That was a big part of my new book on cholesterol clarity, was it's inflammation that's leading to heart disease. So let's do all those things that will lower the amount of inflammation in the body. Can you talk about why that's important?
Yeah, well, basically, the modern diet of high carbohydrate foods, as you know, increases pro-inflammatory hormones, which inflame the body and can lead to a large number of diseases. One, which you just mentioned, heart disease. There are many others right in that category as well. But so what the Primal diet, or paleo diet, similar versions of the same diet, they're naturally low in carbohydrates. So when you eat that way, you naturally reduce chronically elevated levels of inflammation in the body. And the other factor, the really important part, is about the essential fatty acid profile. So when you start eating grass-fed meats and, you get rid of the vegetable oils, you improve your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, omega-3 being anti-inflammatory and omega-6 being pro-inflammatory.
Right.
And so it improves the ratio. And so not only are you reducing your inflammation because you're eating lower carbohydrates, but your fatty acid profile changes. And it's remarkable how quickly people change. What I see with my clients is that I have everyone come in and I have them work a minimum of 12 weeks because they have to work for at least that long to, effect some type of change. But what happens is that even the people that don't need to lose weight, when I put them on the paleo diet, they lose what I call the bloat. It's the inflammation that comes out of their body, and it's visible on their faces. It's amazing. Yeah.
And in the gut area, I'm sure, too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first step, basically talking about inflammation. I talk a lot more about, why you want to go low carb and all the benefits of eating that way, but the focus is about getting the inflammation out of your body.
Absolutely. And that's a key first step. I think getting the bloat out and getting people's bodies to basically calm down, so to speak. It really is an important first step. And something else that can help with the dietary changes that they're making to become anti-inflammatory is to start supplementing with what you call the Super 6. You want to talk about that, step 2?
Yeah, basically this is, nutrient density, meaning the actual vitamins, minerals, and other essential nutrients contained in food is really different than it was 40,000 years ago. There are a number of reasons for that, but, one being the way we farm these days and the quality of the soil. But so paleoanthropologists have shown that, the foods that our ancestors ate had greater nutrient density, even when you compared the same food. So if you took a look at an apple 40,000 years ago, for example, and compared it to an apple today, it would really be different, right? So basically my choice of supplements is based on what modern bodies need to best replicate the nutritionally dense diet of our ancestors.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the intake of our Paleolithic ancestors on so many of those nutrients, and then the USRDA, recommended daily allowance, and then what we actually do. Oh my God, we're like woefully inept.
Yeah, it's really different. So, And the nutrition, adding the supplements is a really big factor too. And, as you know, we're learning more and more about how nutrients don't really operate in a vacuum, and they interact with each other. All the talk lately about vitamin D and, how it can be toxic if you're deficient in vitamin A,
right.
and, how K2 is involved with that too. And so, I talk about that in the different when I speak about the different supplements, how it's important to take them and realize that, all supplements are not just isolated nutrients.
Right. And they're not created equal. I love that you put that in there as well, and that they don't make up for a bad diet.
Right.
Love
right.
that. By the way, I'm taking 5 of those 6 right now, so I may have to add the 6th one.
Which one are you not taking? Glucosamine?
Glucosamine.
You may not need it. I put it on there. I made it one of my Super 6, and because a lot of people really do need it. They have, a little bit of osteoarthritis, and, they're not moving as well, and it really helps them a lot. But if you don't have, arthritis, you don't need it.
Yeah, okay, well, good. Then I'm doing my Super 5 for Jimmy. There we go.
Sounds good.
Are you confused by what your cholesterol levels really say about your health? Don't you wish someone could just spell it out in simple, easy-to-understand language and tell you what, if anything, you need to do about your cholesterol? Good news. That's precisely what you get from the controversial new Victory Belt publishing book, Cholesterol Clarity: What the HDL is Wrong with My Numbers. Featuring prominent low-carb health blogger and podcaster Jimmy Moore, along with medical researcher and practitioner Dr. Eric Westman, this is arguably one of the most unique books you'll ever read on this subject, featuring exclusive interviews with 29 of the world's top experts from various fields to give you the lowdown on cholesterol. These experts include Dr. William Davis, Dr. Robert Lustig, Dr. Chris Masterjohn, Dr. Ufi Ravenskopf, Mark Sisson, Gary Taubes, and more. You won't find this kind of comprehensive, cutting-edge, expert-driven cholesterol information all in one place anywhere else. Are you ready to find out what the HDL is wrong with your numbers? Get Cholesterol Clarity, available at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and other major booksellers. Visit cholesterolclarity.com for more information.
So step 3, we're getting into the movement aspect of the whole 5-step Primal Body program. Restore your muscles to pain-free movement. A lot of people, they think of movement and we hear that phrase, no pain, no gain. And yet you're not supposed to feel pain when you do movement, right?
Well, that's definitely something that comes up a lot with newbies when they come to work with me. But you're definitely going to experience pain when training intensely. But once you've gotten into working out, you don't really experience it as pain. It's just you're reaching a certain threshold, and you know that you're training hard, and it doesn't really register as pain. But I'm sure there is some discomfort for exercising. But what we're talking about here is joints.
Yeah.
You don't want pain in your joints. You don't want your joints to get inflamed, and but also what we're talking about is just loosening up your body. So most people, like 9 people out of 10, come into my studio, even if they're 19 years old, they have issues. There's places where they had an injury and their body tried to reproduce what was there before, and it's kind of a less than perfect process that goes on, and lots of times there are adhesions and little scar tissue that goes on, as a result of some injury that you had a long time ago that never got resolved. So what the self-myofascial release talk about, the technique that I speak about in step 3 is basically using a foam roller to reduce the scar tissue and adhesions and decrease the tension of overly tight muscles and improve mobility and overall range of motion. So it's basically a way to prepare the person to move. So rather than starting them out, and have them do a lunge and have them experience pain in their knee, you clear out the issues first and then begin movement after.
So foam roller, not everybody is familiar with using that in the form of an exercise program and stretching and all that you talk about in that chapter. Can you talk about why foam rolling is so important?
Yeah, because you want to remove the restrictions before exercising. So foam rollers are really effective because there are a number of steps for improving flexibility and mobility so that you can move well. But the foam roller is a really great technique because, basically you're going to, put your body on it on some point. So let's say you put the side of your leg on it and you're releasing your IT band. There's tiny little sensors that, sense the tension in the muscle, and they get your body to release whatever's tight in there when you just apply that pressure from the foam roller. And it happens actually very quickly, and it's a very effective technique for increasing the blood flow to the area, releasing any restrictions, and preparing your body for movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I stayed at Paleo FX this year, the guy I was staying with is a personal trainer, and he brought his foam roller with him, and I'd never seen that before, so I may have to start doing that myself.
You will be amazed. And what's really remarkable about it is that it happens so quickly. You release tight areas in your body, and they don't really come back. It's not like you have to do it a lot unless you are really, really tight. But for the most part, it's a very effective and quick technique for preparing your body for exercise.
Yeah, especially for my hamstrings are like notoriously tight, and I'm sure that's typical for a man my age. But yeah, again, I may try that, Mikki, and let you know how it goes.
Oh, good. Do that. Yes, I would love to hear.
So step number 4 of the 5-step Primal Body Program is build muscle with Primal movement. Now, at one time in your life, you had the possession to be a bodybuilder. What possessed you to want to do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I hired a personal trainer many years ago when it really wasn't in vogue to hire a trainer,
right.
And she happened to be, a bodybuilder, and she looked good. She didn't look, excessive like some of the bodybuilders out there. And so I worked with her for a while, and then she suggested that I do a bodybuilding contest. So I actually placed 4th.
Nice.
My first time out, and I did 2 shows back to back. But I realized pretty early on that being up there on the stage and flexing and posing really wasn't my thing, so I didn't do it after that, but it was a great experience just in transforming my physique.
Mm-hmm. And so that probably taught you a lot of what to do, what not to do in preparation for this whole idea of building muscle through primal movements.
Yes, yeah, it did. Actually, a lot of it was really about the diet, really dieting down to a very low percentage of body fat. And
yeah.
What I learned more was about how much easier it is to do low carb than low fat. No kidding. But yeah, I did train differently because when you're interested in winning a physique contest, you're really interested in making your body look a particular way so that you
right.
But really when you do functional training, you're more concerned about how your body functions.
Yeah. So let's talk about a few of those movements that are, you call the 7 primal movements. We won't go into all of them. Which one do you think is one people could do right now while they're listening to it? They may even be at the gym. Listen up, guys. You may be doing this one in about 3 minutes. Okay.
Well, one of the most valuable movements that I talk about is the bend. And the bend is actually a hinge. And if most people learned how to do this one movement, they would probably not have back pain for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
So if you were to stand about a foot or maybe like 8 inches away from a wall, and then if you push your hips back and bend from your hips while just bending your knees enough to allow your hips. So you actually want to touch your butt against the wall, but you're really just moving from your hips. So your upper back is kind of braced. If you imagine that you have like sponges in your armpits, so you're turning on your lats, and you pull your shoulders down and your chest up so that your upper back is nice and tight and braced, and then you push your hips back against the wall. So it actually kind of looks like, the tipping bird.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So are you doing it right now?
No, but I will when we're done because you got me intrigued now.
Okay, so that would be one. So it's actually one of the fundamental movements of kettlebells, which is one of the types of exercises that I teach as well. Very useful for learning functional training, but it's the foundation movement for the swing, the snatch, and the clean of that particular type of exercise.
Yeah, I love in that section with the 7 primal movements. It's on page 110 for people that get your book. Under the bend, you've got that's the type of movement. Then you give the directions like you just described, and then examples of it, like you just said, the kettlebell swings. And then this was really cool, the primal movement examples, bending over to clear a rock to make camp. So pretty neat, kind of ties all the modern ways that you do it with, you know, how our primal ancestors would have used that same functional movement.
Yes.
That's great.
It's great. Yeah, thanks.
So step number 5 of the 5-step Primal Body program is kick up your metabolism to burn fat faster. Now, if you can explain how to burn fat faster, you're going to be the best friend of so many people listening to this.
No doubt.
Tell us how that works.
Okay, so the movement patterns of early humans, as you probably know, were predominantly high intensity. They involved bursts of explosive movement rather than the long, low intensity type of movement that most people do today, the aerobic type of exercise. So these patterns, of what, is known today as high intensity interval training, or HIIT, they evolved over, a long period of time, ions of time, and they take advantage of specific muscle fibers and metabolic pathways that were most efficient for producing energy for survival. So scientists have actually compared HIIT to aerobic exercise, and one particular study that was pretty remarkable was done by an Australian. And he put 45 overweight women through a 15-week study, and one group did intervals for 20 minutes, and the other group did low-intensity aerobic exercise for 40 minutes. Now, both of these groups exercised 3 times a week, and they had their dietary intake was closely monitored. So at the end of the 15 weeks, the researchers found that the interval group lost 3 times as much fat doing half as much exercise.
Wow.
I know. So you have to ask, why did that happen? And it's because of the phenomenon known as EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And so this type of high-intensity interval training, it disturbs the body's homeostasis and kind of throws it off balance. And the result is a larger energy expenditure after exercise is over to restore the body systems back to, homeostasis. And so this energy expenditure is really what causes a significant increase in fat loss and makes, HIIT, or high-intensity interval training, the most effective method for losing fat.
Mm-hmm. So those are the 5-step Primal Body program from Your Primal Body, the book. And yeah. I wanted to hit on one more thing before we left, Mikki, and that was in the section where you were talking about the foods that you should eat. So the fats, the proteins, and the carbohydrates. And obviously I love that your message is, let's try to keep your carbohydrate under 50 if you're trying to lose fat, people, because it is important to keep that insulin and blood sugar under control. But right. Under the fat one, you said something that kind of struck a chord with me, and I'd love to hear your explanation. Let's see. If you are on a fat loss program, this is page 157, you will want to eat just enough fat to keep your energy levels up and feel sated. Once you have lost the excess fat, you'll be able to consume higher quantities of healthy fat in your diet. So are you saying that someone has a better chance of burning their own body fat by eating a little less fat during the actual fat loss stage than eating more fat?
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell the mechanism about why that's true?
Well, 2 things that I found are necessary for fat loss. One is that you have to keep your carbohydrates low to keep your insulin levels down.
Yep.
2, that you need to create a caloric deficit. And so the way that I have my clients do this is they go through 3 days and their average, intake, and total up their, protein grams, carbohydrate and fat, and total calories, and get an average for the 3 days, and then create a little caloric deficit or a lot, just depending on what they need and where they're coming from,
Right.
to get the results that they're looking for.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just thinking about my own experiment with this in the last year, with upwards of 80 to 85% of my calories coming from dietary fat, and yet I was still able to shed quite a bit of weight. It just that one line kind of stuck out to me. I was like,
no,
really?
You're doing it though, because you're staying in ketosis.
Yeah.
And so it's not that you're not eating excess fat to try to lose weight. You're
Right.
just meeting your caloric needs, and you're getting it mostly from fat.
And it's quite a bit of calories too. I'm definitely not actively trying to create some kind of a calorie deficit with what I'm doing. So I guess I'm bucking that trend of paying attention to the calories. Do the calories really matter, that people have to pay that close attention to them?
Yeah, sometimes I'll find that people will eat low carbohydrate, manage to not eat very many carbohydrates, but they have so much fat that, basically the idea is that, when you eat low carbohydrate, it causes your fat cells to be open.
Right.
So when the insulin levels are high, your fat cells are closed, right? So the idea is that you want the fat cells to be open, which you cause by having your insulin levels low.
Yep.
But there has to be a demand for the fat for it to be used, right? So if you have enough fat already available, your fat cells may be open, but your body doesn't need it.
Sure.
As a source of fuel, right?
So I wonder if the people who do tend to overeat calories on a low-carb diet, maybe part of their issue too is they're eating too much protein, which could then be raising blood sugar and causing some other gluconeogenic effects from raising the sugar through the too much protein, and that it's not really the fat, but maybe the excess protein that's causing that weight gain. Anyway, I'm just kind of thinking out loud with Mikki Reilly while I have you here. So
that sounds reasonable. Too much protein would definitely, gluconeogenesis would convert into glucose and, throw them over the top on their ability to, keep their fat cells open so that the fat could actually be burned.
That's right. That's right. Her name is Mikki Reilly. Definitely check out her website. It's fitnesstransform.com. Her brand new book we've been talking about here today, Your Primal Body, The Paleo Way to Living Lean, Fit, and Healthy at Any Age. She's also quite active on the social media. Check her out, facebook.com/Mikki with an I, MIKKI.Reilly, REILLY. And then over there on Twitter, twitter.com/Mikki Reilly. Well, Mikki, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Livin La Vida Low-Carb Show.
Thanks so much, Jimmy. Good talking to you.
Coming up next time on the Livin La Vida Low-Carb Show, we'll have Binks Selby.
Visit our website at thelivinlowcarbshow.com/show notes. And email us anytime at llvlcshow@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Disc of light.